Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Now we were studying last class how Lord Chaitanya discussed with the Buddhists. So the first principle was that, in summary, the class when we are most of the time spending reading that class and explain it in a better way. The point is that when you talk to somebody, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu once was in Vrindavan and he was coming back from Vrindavan, he met a Muslim who was a scholar in Quran and he wanted to talk about something that God is not a person, God is an impersonal. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted Quran and preached it. They do like that. Now it's talking to Buddhists. Buddhists don't accept any, Vedas. So he's talking them based on logic. So similarly, the devotee should be so expert actually. And Prabhupada always wanted that if you are talking to an atheist, you have to talk based just on logic. We cannot quote Vedic literature because they don't accept it. But today, most of the world is today at present advanced in science. We have to talk to them scientifically and that they will not accept. Correct? We have to be realistic. What is the reason that 99% people feel that I am going to waste my time if I go inside the temple? Because they are all exposed to science. Correct? They learn science. So we have to talk to them scientifically. Just like Buddhists, we talk by logic. The person Muslim, we talk by Quran. Correct? We have to see the situation and be practical and talk to them. They will not accept Vedas or Puranas or statement from that, but they will accept science today. My purpose is what? My purpose is people should take shelter of Krishna. Whatever needed should be done. Correct? We should not be hung up to anything. Okay, true. For me, who are devotee of Krishna, who is offering devotion service to Krishna, I accept the authority of the scripture. But at the beginning, people do not do that. Therefore, we should deal with them in a practical way. So that is the whole approach. So now you see the Buddhism has actually 9 doctrines, or there are 9 principles. Let us see. Actually, we don't agree to any one of them. First, you should know. If you're talking to Buddhists, you should know what are the 9 principles. And you say, why? Philosophically, we have all respect to Buddha. So they will have. We are not going to attack their mentor. We have all the respect for Buddha. He is the incarnation of the Lord. But his philosophy was the stopgap arrangement which is needed at the time. Just like a mother sometimes gives a sweet pill. It's not that mother wants to harm you. It is needed at that time because you were not ready to take a medicine. So it was given in the name of sweet. Chalayati. Bhagavatam says he cheated Raja. Because they were not ready to worship the Lord, he said, yes, that's fine. Be nice, be good. Most of the people are like that only today. And then he said, be nice, be good. But they worship him. And he is Krishna himself. So they got cheated in that way, to worship the Lord indirectly. Without knowledge, you see in all the countries of so many countries where Buddhism is very prominent, they worship Buddha the way we worship Krishna in the temple. Correct? So they are worshipping Krishna without knowledge. But they get the same benefit. So that is the whole trick of Buddha. At the same time, he wanted to make a foundation because people had become very sinful. So instead of directly teaching the Sanatana Dharma, he gave something what we can call, there are varieties of dharma, Upadharma, Achala Dharma, this dharma, that dharma. He can say Upadharma, which leads to realization, but which is not directly done because there is no conception of soul and God given. So when you don't talk about spirit, what spiritualism remains, basically some subset of nice principles. Person becomes pious. So, sometimes people like compare. Prabhupada used to say, what is the use of comparing? You have to follow. Swamiji, how does Buddhism compare with Krishna consciousness? What is the use of comparing? You have to follow. You decide, you have to follow one another. Simply comparing has no use. Correct? You have to follow. Now I sit and start comparing. Now, which college is best? If IIT Bombay is best or IIT Chennai is best? Now, are you going to take admission or simply comparing what is the use? To take admission on other places and follow what they are teaching, then you will benefit. So simply comparing has no use. That is not our objective here, because our objective is sometimes we do deal with people who are either Buddhist or some part of the Buddhist philosophy they are exposed to. So when we are teaching Krishna consciousness, they get confused. So we should know their arguments and we should know how to counter them. Okay. So what are the 9 things Buddhism has? Number 1, they say creation is eternal. You can't agree to that. We see in this world, nothing is eternal. Correct? I am growing. I have taken birth. I grow. I produce byproducts. I sustain for some time. I dwindle and die. That is called Shadavika. Everything in this world shows Shadavika. I was born as a small baby. Then I grew. Then I produce byproducts. Some people, just like most of the people, they produce children. And then next, I start dwindling. And then I die. Correct? In this world, everything has just 6 stages. Or how can therefore everything we are seeing in this world is the same way? Everything has a temporary life. How can this creation be eternal? And also this has been scientifically proven to be wrong. Because they have seen the universe is expanding. That means at one point it had a beginning. Correct? If it is expanding, you go back. One time it had a beginning. Whatever that is, that's a separate issue. But the point is the universe had a beginning. So they are in trouble in the first point itself. The universe is eternal. Many people in the West nowadays, they very like Buddhism actually. But they don't know nonsense. What are the fundamental principles? They don't know. They don't study that. Most of the people, what they do is called showroom religion. They don't go to the fundamental philosophy behind the religion. Even technology. People are so attracted to technology today. Technology is also the opium of the masses. Because they don't know what are the fundamental assumptions in bringing out this art. And when these assumptions are challenged, the thing doesn't work. So this is a reality today that we are facing. People are not really deep, superficial. So now the first thing is that because they say this world is eternal, we can't agree to that. In this world, spiritual world is eternal, not the material world. Why they say that? Because Buddha wanted to avoid the fact of the Creator. He didn't want to talk about the Creator. They were not ready for that. Very simple, eating meat. You want to talk to them actually about the last principle. Stop sinful activities, don't kill animals. But some philosophy has to give an overall package of the philosophy to them. And they're not ready for the advanced package. It's like you have different versions. They're not ready. It cannot be handled. There's no space for that. You are loading some, just like Android software is there. Many of them use the oldest one because there is no space in the new mobile. Sometimes there is a prerequisite. This many things are needed for this. So some prerequisite is needed to accept the Sanatana Dharma. But they didn't have that. Very simple people. As Kali Yuga began, people became very degraded into all simple activities. Particularly meat eating. So he wanted to stop that. Therefore he came. So there, he said the first principle he avoided. He avoided the fact about God. So therefore, the first principle he gave, the universe is eternal. Why did he do that? He knows. He's a Lord. He knows it's not true. Why did he teach that? Because he can avoid the Creator. But they are not ready to hear about the Creator. The word is eternal. So word is eternal means there is no Creator. I see this house. You say, who built this house? Well, this house was always there. But then there is no maker of the house. The roundabout way you are escaping. I say, who published this book? Nobody published this book. It is there in eternity. Then you can avoid the publisher. So in that way, he goes a roundabout way. If we can understand, it doesn't hold much ground. The second thing, they say the cosmic manifestation is false. I hear that this is nonsense. This argument is false. This word is temporary, but it is not false. Even Mayavadis do the same thing. And then they say this world is a dream, but they become very expert in enjoying this dream. This world is an illusion, they say that Mayavadis. But then people become pakka enjoyers in this illusion. They become lost within this illusion. Fully absorbed how to enjoy this illusion. This world is not false. It is temporary. In that way it is false. But it is not false in the sense that it doesn't exist. It's not a dream. I give the argument. They say this, then what am I seeing in front of me? Then dream you see so many things, it is just like a dream. Correct? Dream also you see so many things, you become scared. Correct? But dream has no factual existence. The same way this world actually has no existence, it's a dream. It's a dream, huh? Then how both of us have the same dream? In the night when I have the dream, it's my private dream. You have a dream, it's your dream, correct? But how both of them are having the same dream? In the sense both of us agree this mic is standing in front of us, correct? How it is possible? I'm just going, if I go more detail, it's true. All of us are living in our private world experiences, everybody. Even in the same room, we are having a different world of experience, even looking at this world, everybody. Maybe focusing a different thing and possible. But anyway, the point here is what? Is that this world is temporary, but it is not false. It's temporary, but not false. It exists. Correct? We are in realism. We are not in another kind of philosophy. So if we agree, yes, this world exists. True? But it is temporary. The way you are looking at the world can be illusion. That also we agree. I look at the body, I think I am the body. That is an illusion. But body is not an illusion. Body exists. What it is, that's a separate issue. But body exists. Correct? True? This world is not false. It exists. So this is second one. Then third one, I am the truth. Yes, I am the truth. We also agree to that. But then they have no idea about 84 lakh species. That doesn't exist in Buddhism. Clear idea about 84 lakh species. Clear idea about the soul as the I. They identify with the subtle body as the I. Because they accept reincarnation. What reincarnation? They talk about the subtle body. So this is not correct actually. The experiencer in the body has not been properly identified. One step better than the scientists because they have no idea even of the mind. Because they think mind is, there is no mind, it is just a brain. There is no conception, clear conception of the mind. So it's not true. In fact, I think they will be in trouble when the brain transplant happens. Now you see, somebody say I am the body, but you can transplant the liver, you can take from another and put liver here, but I don't change. I remain the same or not. Sometimes, even Steve Jobs, they put a liver transplant and they did to make him survive for some time. Yeah. We can do kidney transplant, correct? Some people kidneys, they take kidney from a relative or they buy from the market. Sometimes it is stolen also, kidney transplant. But you don't change, you remain the same person. Even though your kidney has come from another person. What am I then? Whole body you can transplant. I am just saying even heart you can transplant, you remain the same. Do you change when a heart transplant occurs? They say everything is in the heart, but heart is changing. You don't change, you remain the same. I am saying one day they will do brain transplant also and still it will remain the same person and you get a shock of their life. How the person has remained same even though we change brain also. One day they will do that. Correct? They don't have this idea to understand. They say common sense is not common. And actually I am not anything in this body. I am only an observer in this body. That's all. Just like in a house, I am an observer. So you may take so many things and keep so many things. It doesn't make any difference to you. Correct? Just like a field is there. Kshetrajna is an observer in the field. You do so many things in the field. That doesn't make any difference to the farm. Crop grows, farmer is there. Correct? He is watching so many things are happening. So we are just observer in this field of experience, the body. So they say what? They say I am the truth without proper understanding what is the I. So that is third one, that also we don't agree. There is the reputation of birth and death. We agree to that, but they have no conception of 84 lakh species. We have clear conception of that. Yeah. In fact, when in America they had many times Jata Smritis, people reporting last lives. In India it happens quite common. But Indians we don't get shocked about it because you know it's part of our scripture. But in America it doesn't there in any other religion. It doesn't exist reincarnation. So they get into trouble, but Buddhism accepts reincarnation. So they many times study Buddhism to explain how it is explained. Yes. Then they say there is the Lord Buddha is the only source of understanding the truth. No, after so many mistakes, how do we accept that? So many mistakes are there in the... We accept Buddha, but we reject his philosophy. When you see so many mistakes in his philosophy, how are you going to accept him as the only source? Why will I accept? Correct? The philosophy seems unreasonable. Why accept him as the only source? Why? It's not, we are not going to accept this. The principle of nirvana is the ultimate good. Acha. Now they contradicted themselves. The first principle was the world is eternal. Now they are saying nirvana. They are self-contradictory philosophy. There's an ultimate end is everything shunya. Everything shunya. You started with saying the world is eternal. Creation is eternal. I am also part of creation. The end is nirvana. Nirvana means just like bhasmi bhuta sadehasya. Absolute atheism actually. I remember I was in a college and I said Buddhism is an atheistic philosophy. Some students are saying Buddhism, they felt very hurt. But it's a fact. There is no conception of God at all. But they are lucky because they have faith in Buddha and they worship Buddha, who is God himself. Without knowing, they are worshipping God. And they are lucky. That is the kindness of Buddha. So they say nirvana is the ultimate goal. Just like you are having a headache. You come to doctor. Doctor, some people have migraine, no? Constant headache. Correct? Doctor, I am suffering. Constant headache is there. Do something. Doctor will say, yes, we will kill you. No more pain. Pain is over. So this is the philosophy. It's not very reasonable. So we don't accept nirvana. The philosophy of Buddha is the only philosophical truth. Why we should accept there are so many contradictions. Seventh is also gone. The Vedas are compiled by human beings. Nonsense. Apaurushaya. Vedas are given by the Supreme Lord. This is compiled by, looks like this is compiled by people. Vedas are much higher authority. Much higher authority. Imagine the Lord has to speak this. Buddha, who is himself the Veda, who has come as an incarnation of Veda, who has written the Veda, after some time he is coming and saying, it is written by human being, don't take it. In fact, Buddhist philosophy was Nindasi Veda, don't touch it. So, therefore, Krishna is very grave. If he says something, we have to understand what is the reason behind it. What is the necessity for him speaking that statement? What is the necessity? It is because of all that meat eating and sinful activities. He said, don't touch the Vedas. First you become a good man, then you will see. So it's not true, Vedas are compiled by human beings. Just like when anything is made, the mic is made, there is always a manual. There is always manually you come. So when the creation is there, along with this, the manual comes. And what is the manual? That is the Vedas. The creation, the Vedas are eternal. Vedas are coming from the Lord, by the breathing of the Lord. Pious activities showing mercy to others and so on are advised. Yeah, this is there, but mercy means what? That also is not qualified properly. Just somebody is, very sick, having high fever, and doctor has told him not to eat anything. And you go and give him paratha, he may die. So mercy means, if you want to do good, you should know what is good. One. And number two, mercy is not the only principle in life. To a superior, you don't give mercy, you give service. It's only one way trying. You got it? If somebody is dependent on you, helpless, you give mercy to him. But to a superior, you don't give mercy. You don't come to temple to give mercy to Krishna. You come to temple to do service to Krishna. So there is a difference between mercy is to higher person, and lower person, and service is to higher person. So how can mercy be the absolute principle? Because what about service then? That is also incomplete. And on top of it, the mercy is only on the bodily platform. You give somebody good food and clothing, it doesn't mean person becomes happy. It's something else. It's like a bird in a cage. The requirement of the bird has to be understood. First you have to identify there is a bird in a cage. There is a Kshetrajna, in the Kshetra you have to identify. And then next you have to understand what is the need of the bird. Similarly, what is our need? I am not the body, I am an Atma. But what does the Atma need? Scientifically you have to understand. True or not? What does Atma need? Then you proceed. Then you go step by step. Now what are the requirements? Therefore this philosophy was, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given in brief. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu defeated the philosophy. That arguments are not here. But as a disciple, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has picked up the points and Bodhacharya Nava Prashna Sabha Utaila Vrida Yukta Tarke Prabhu Khanda Khanda Kaila. The teacher of the Buddhist cult set forth the 9 principles, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu broke them to pieces with a strong logic. He used only logic. He cannot use Vedas because they are what the Vedas, they don't have respect the authority of Vedas. They say Nindasi Veda. Darshanika Pandita Sabai Paila Parajaya Loke Hasya Kare Bodhita Paila Lajjavaya. All mental speculative learned scholars are defeated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the people began to laugh. The Buddhist philosopher felt both shame and fear. Public was hearing because that time public was very interested in such things. Today people are more interested, correct? Something else is there, whole city will go. But you tell them there is a class on Gita, nobody is interested. So previously Indian culture was different. Even 100, 200 years ago, every place there is Harikatha. Every place people are doing Harikatha, correct? But now things are degraded. So anyway, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was discussing, so people are listening. He so thoroughly defended their arguments that public started laughing. What nonsense philosophy. Now these people started feeling shame and fear. Their condition became miserable. Darshanika Pandita Sabai Paila Bharajaya Loka Hase Kare Bodha Paila Lajjavaya. All the mental speculative learned scholars are defeated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This I read. And the people began to laugh. The Buddhists felt both shame and fear. Oh. These philosophers were all atheists, for they did not believe in the existence of God. Atheists are very expert in mental speculation, maybe so-called philosophers, but they can be defeated by a Vaishnava, firmly situated in the conviction of God conscious and God consciousness. Following the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the preachers engaged in service of ISKCON should be very expert in putting forward strong argument and defeating all type of atheists. So devotee should be expert. Prabhu ke Vaishnava jani Bauddha dhare gela Shvakava Bauddha milita veko matrana kaila. The Buddhists could understand the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a Vaishnava and they returned home very unhappy. Later however they began to plot against the Lord. Now they got very hurt and insulted. Now they are plotting. Actually, you know, purpose to insult them. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is discussing philosophy. When you are discussing philosophy, you have to strict. This is right, this is wrong. Okay? So, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that was the intention. But these people who are, took it very personally. Therefore, it is difficult to argue with people when they become very personal. Apavitra anna eka thali te bhariya Prabhu age nila mahaprashavalaya. Having made their plot, the Buddhists brought a plate of untouchable food before Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and called it Mahaprasad. So they brought some untouchable food to give to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this Mahaprasad meat. Actually it is untouchable. Untouchable means like meat. Even Buddhists don't eat meat. Correct? At that time. Today they have degraded. Meat and all obnoxious items which cannot be offered to the Lord. Like onion. We don't touch it. Vaishnava will touch it. Purport. The word apavitra anna refers to food that is unacceptable for a Vaishnava. In other words, the Vaishnava cannot accept any food offered by a Vaishnava in the name of Mahaprasad. This should be the principle for all the Vaishnavas. When asked what is the behavior of a Vaishnava, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said Vaishnava must avoid the company of a Vaishnava. Asat. Asat refers to an Avaishnava. That is one who is not a Vaishnava. Asat Sangha Tyaga, a Vaishnava Acharya. A Vaishnava must be very strict in this respect, should not at all cooperate with a Vaishnava. If an Vaishnava offers food in the name of Mahaprasadam, it should not be accepted. Such food cannot be prasada because an Vaishnava cannot offer anything to the Lord. Sometimes preachers in Krishna conscious movement have to accept food in the home, in the household of the Vaishnava. However, if this food is offered to the deity, it can be taken. Ordinary food cooked by a Vaishnava should not be accepted by a Vaishnava. Even if a Vaishnava cooks food without fault, it cannot be offered to Lord Vishnu and it cannot be accepted as Mahaprasada. According to Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pusham Padam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachiti Tadam Bhakti Upaharitam Asnami Pratatmana. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, water, fruit or water, I will accept it. leaf, flower, food or water, I'll accept. Krishna can accept anything offered by his devotee by devotion. And Avashrama is a vegetarian and a very nice cook. But because he cannot offer Vishnu the food he cooks, it cannot be accepted as Mahaprasada. It's better that a Vaishnava abandon such food as untouchable. You should be very careful. Not that we tell some higher cook, please cook nicely, he can make so many items and we offer to the Lord. It cannot be offered. A Vaishnava cooks meat, it cannot be offered. Why? We don't allow people to enter kitchen. Correct? Who's not a devotee? Not that everybody can cook and you can offer. You cannot offer. Prasada means Vaishnava cooks, Vaishnava offers and Vaishnava takes. Then it is prasada. Otherwise it's not prasada. Something it is. Some sanctified food. That's the prasada, we have to understand the value of prasada. So they brought some untouchable, which cannot eat. Ena kale mahakaya eka pashiyaila toni kari avasaha thalilena gela. When the contaminated food offered to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a very large bird appeared on the spot, picked up the plate in its beak and flew away. Bauda go nera uppara anna pada anedahaya Bauda charya mata thali padila bhajiya. Indeed, the untouchable food fell upon the Buddhists, and the large bird dropped the plate on the head of the chief Buddhist teacher. When it had fallen their head, it made a big sound. Tare chapadila thali mata kati gela murchitahara achara bhumite padila. The plate was made of metal, and when its edge hit the head of the teacher, it cut him, and the teacher immediately fell to the ground unconscious. So when they were about to offer to the Lord Chaitanya food, one huge bird appeared from nowhere. It picked up the plate, threw all the items on the Buddhist, untouchable food, and threw the plate on the head of the leader. And the plate hit his head, the sharp edge, correct, and cut him, and he fainted there. You can understand. He fell unconscious. Hakara kari kande sabha shishya gana Save asi prabhu pade gaila sharana. When the teacher fell unconscious, the Buddhist disciple cried aloud and ran to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for shelter. So they took shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Please save our Guru. What something happened? Our Guru has fallen unconscious. We did some mistake. We are sorry. We are sorry. Tumita Ishvara Saksha Kshama Aparada Jiya Atmana Guru Karaha Prasada. They all prayed to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, addressing him as the Supreme Personality God himself and saying, Sir, please excuse our offense, please have mercy upon us and bring our spiritual master back to life. They thought he had died. Please save him. Bring him back to life. What happened to our Guru? What happened to our Guru? They are in great issue. Prabhu kahe sabha kaha Krishna Krishna Hari Guru karne kaha Krishna nama ucha kari. The Lord then replied to the Buddhist disciple, you should all chant the names of Krishna and Hari loudly near the ear of your spiritual master. So what happened? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, chant in his ear Krishna, Rama, Hari. You chant his name in his ear. Krishna, Krishna, Hari. Chant. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore initiated them in the Nama. Yes, they are giving Nama. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave them. And they initiated their so-called Guru. They became the Guru of their Guru. Because they chanted the name in the ear of their Guru. You see? By this method, Toma Sabar Guru Tabe Paive Chaitana Sabe Bauda Mili Kare Krishna Sankirtana. By this method, your spiritual master regained his consciousness. Following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advice, all the Buddha disciples began to chant the holy name of Krishna congregationally. So now he tricked them. They are all chanting Krishna, Krishna, Krishna from their own mouth. They become Vaishnava. Guru karne ka hai sab Krishna Rama Hari Chetravana Acharya Bale Hari Hari. So he also started chanting Hari Hari. But who initiated it? His disciples. So his disciples became his Guru in the Parampara. When all the disciples chanted the name of Krishna, Rama and Hari, the Buddhist teacher regained his consciousness and immediately began to chant the holy name of Lord Hari. Shri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur commented that all the Buddhist disciples were actually initiated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu into the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. And when they chanted, actually became different persons. At that time, they were not Buddhists or atheists, but Vaishnavas. Consequently, they immediately accepted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order. Their original Krishna consciousness revived, and they were immediately able to chant the Hare Krishna and begin worshipping the Supreme Lord Vishnu. It is the spiritual master who delivers the disciple from the clutches of Maya by initiating him with the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. In this way, a sleeping human being can revive his consciousness by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. In other words, the spiritual master awakens the sleeping living entity to the original consciousness, so that he can worship Lord Krishna. This is the portion of Diksha, purpose of Diksha or initiation. Initiation means receiving the pure knowledge of spiritual consciousness. One point to note in this regard is the spiritual master of the Buddhists did not initiate his disciples, rather disciples were initiated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they in turn were able to initiate the so-called spiritual master. This is the Parampara system. The so-called spiritual master of Buddhists were actually in a position of a disciple, and after disciples were initiated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they acted as his spiritual master. This was possible only because the disciple of Buddhist Acharya received the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Unless one is favored by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the disciplic succession, one cannot act as a spiritual master. We should take the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the spiritual master of the whole universe, to understand how one becomes a spiritual master and a disciple. So we become Guru only by mercy of Lord Chaitanya. But we are empowered to be able to bring people to the lotus feet of Krishna. Krishna Shakti Vina na hoy. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave them the mercy, gave them the holy name, they became Krishna. Then they got the power autonomy and they made their own Guru into Krishna. So very big subject, we continue.